Hello, this is our case study presentation, and we will be looking at the impact of integrating science and art in a summer camp setting by Negele and Noelle Vanderhook.
We looked into 3 different types of articles and literature, and we noticed these three main points from all of them: that summer school provides students with additional instructional time that has a positive effect on their academic achievement. Visual representations support English language learners' understanding of scientific academic vocabulary. And lastly, that integrating art and science advances students' cognitive development, helps them create meaning, and improves their knowledge retention.
So we'll go ahead and take a look at our first main idea, which is the effect that summer school has on academic achievement. We found that summer school gives students the additional support to help strengthen their academic understanding of various content that they normally can't receive in the schools, and they're able to really specialize it in summer school to meet their goals. We also found that students showed a noticeable growth in their listening comprehension skills, and that kindergarten and first grade students who are at risk had a greater possibility of narrowing the achievement gap between students from high income and low income backgrounds. This is mostly, again, just because these students from the lower income backgrounds are the ones who are attending the summer schools in most instances, at least in the articles that we looked at. So this additional support and instruction time really helps them kind of catch up to their peers and reduce that achievement gap between the two. Now, finally, we also saw that additional schooling can help support English learners understand and develop their science content comprehension skills, just because they're able to really focus in on vocabulary and hands-on activities. And like I already said, they're able to really specialize the summer school towards what they want to be teaching.
The next main point that we looked at was using visuals to help English language learners. So this in the articles pointed out that it was a great sit-die strategy to help the English language learners understand their content. So first, linguistic scaffolding can help support EL's understanding of science and mathematic content by using visuals. For example, when they use Venn diagrams, pictures of science equipment, and images of how assignments should be set up, it really helps give the English learners an idea of what they're doing before they actually do it. And it helps them in both science and math, but in our case study, we concentrated more on the science aspect. It also stated that using visual representations along with active participation helps students gain a thorough understanding of science content. So when students see visuals along with them being able to actively participate with their peers and with their teacher, it helps them gain a better understanding of what they're learning. And then lastly, concept mapping is a useful teaching tool to help EL see the connection among the different concepts.
And for our third big idea, we're focusing on the advantages of integrating art and science. We found from these articles that integrating science and art helped broaden and deepen students' science repertoire. So you can see a really cool example on the right-hand side. This is directly taken from one of the articles, and this is how a student demonstrated spider thread, and you can see whoever was working with the students took a description of what the students stated that they were drawing. So especially for English learners, being able to communicate through art rather than words is a really great way to kind of gauge their understanding of scientific content. We also get to see how children can use their imagination and creativity and how that helps them make meaning of scientific ideas. Finally, we learned that an integrated curriculum approach can be an impactful strategy to help English learners gain a scientific understanding. And what's really cool is that you'll see later on in this presentation actual pictures and video clips of what our students were doing and how the program we observed integrated art and science.
For our research questions, we came up with 4 questions that we thought we could center our research around. So first, we wanted to know, how does being surrounded by other English language learners impact the confidence and comfort levels of the students participating in the ELD summer camp? So we really wanted to know if it helps students gain confidence being surrounded by other students that are also working on developing their English language. Our second question was, how will participating in an informal learning environment affect the students' enthusiasm towards the activities included in the summer program? So we really just wanted to know if they were more motivated or less motivated working during the summer, and we also wanted to know how it being informal would have an impact on their motivation. Our third question was, how does integrating science and art influence the students' understanding of the content? So we wanted to know how these two subjects could be worked together to help the student understand. And then lastly, how will the students' different funds of knowledge help them comprehend information and contribute new perspectives during the ELD summer camp?
So I really focused on student A, and she identified as Mexican American. She was 6 years old, a female. She attended a low-income school, but due to privacy reasons, we were unable to access her SES information, but we can kind of assume, based on the school that she attended, that she is most likely in a lower SES area. She speaks English and Spanish at home, and according to the child, student A, she said that she lives with her mom, dad, and one sister who is younger than her.
I observed student B, and he comes from a Romanian background. He is a 5-year-old male that is going into the first grade this upcoming school year. The school that student B attends is in a very high-income area. However, like Morgan said, we are unaware of his family's specific socioeconomic status due to the privacy reasons. At home, he speaks both Romanian and English, and he lives with his mother, father, older brother, and younger sister. Both of his parents were born in Romania, so he does get to go back there and visit frequently and see his family there.
So based on our original research questions, we decided to really look at two. So we first are looking at, how will participating in an informal learning environment affect the students' enthusiasm toward the activities included in the summer program? And how does integrating science and art influence the students' understanding of the content? We chose our first question because the camp is an informal learning environment with a variety of really fun and engaging activities for the students. We saw that they did art, they participated in music, they played games, they had little scientific observation stations all over the classroom. So we just felt like this was a really appropriate question to focus on. And we chose our second question because the camp is heavily focused on the integration of art and science, which again we will see later on.
For our data collection, we did 2 informal observation sessions, and we did them at 2 different times. So our first one was from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., and our second one was from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. because we wanted to see different perspectives on how the students worked at different times in their day. We also had an interview with the teacher, and we talked with students A and B. The students will be referred to as student A and student B to protect their identity, and the teachers will also be protected by using alternative names.
Now, we'll be looking at students' reoccurring behaviors during the different academic activities. So maybe how often they raise their hand, are they wiggly on the carpet, are they sitting still, do they talk to their peers, how often do they participate, those sort of behaviors. We'll also be analyzing examples of their work and really trying to compare their examples from the beginning of the camp towards the end of the camp to see growth in development of knowledge. And yes.
For the timeline, the first day we went was July 8th, 2019. This was actually their first day of camp, so we came right in the morning at 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So we saw how the students adjusted and how they were interacting with each other and interacting with their new summer camp teachers. So we did an informal observation of both student A and student B and had some conversations with the teachers about each of the students. And we also got to analyze the student work from how they were performing on the first day of camp.
And then we went in again on July 12th, so a few days later. We came in from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. this time just to see if maybe the students acted a little bit differently during different parts of the day. Again, we really focused on observing student A and student B. We talked to the teacher about how they had been doing throughout the camp, what had changed, and we were able to look at new examples of student work.
We were able to talk to the teachers in an informal setting, which was just conversational. And when we asked the teacher how they thought they were doing with the integration of science and art, one teacher said, "The style of the summer camp gives these students a chance to shine in ways that they may not be able to in the classroom. Utilizing art into our science lesson has really kept the students engaged." So this gave us the teacher's perspective on how it was working with science and art together for the kindergarten students.
And our other teacher that we observed is actually a recent CSUF graduate, and so it was really cool to talk to her and see her in this role. She said that her students, so the kindergarten students, are still motivated since they're so young, but some of the teachers working with older students mentioned that their classes are unmotivated since it's summer. So I wonder if we were to have observed an older grade, how our case study would differ from what we have now. And I observed student A, so these are some examples of her work. On the left, this was supposed to be a grasshopper, and she was supposed to draw the grasshopper, which I think she did a really great job on. And then there was a sentence that she was supposed to copy from the teachers, and I couldn't quite make out exactly what she was saying, but I know she got the first part of the sentence right, which says, "I didn't know that male," and I know she was supposed to continue the sentence from there, but she was unable to finish. And if you look at the picture on the right, this was a pretest, so this was taken right at the beginning of camp. The student needed to write details about the animals in the illustration, and she was only able to write one word for the whole entire test. Now, if we compare that writing prompt test to the post test on the left, you can see she did make some progress, but there was not a ton of growth within her writing skills, and she did receive an overall 2, which is good because she did attempt every single question, unlike the pretest, but it wasn't as much growth as we expected to see.
For student B, he showed to be quite advanced for kindergarten. So for his first picture, he also drew a grasshopper, and he wrote the sentence, "I didn't know that only males crickets use their wings to chirp." So his sentence is very well written. He uses his phonemics to write out, and he was able to get the sentence structure. And then for his pre-writing test, he was able to write sentences very well. And so he did capitalize the animals, which I thought was kind of odd, but I didn't know if he thought maybe they were proper nouns, but he did get the period right. He had spaces between all his words, which I thought was really good. On the second half of his test, he was supposed to write questions, and he still wrote sentences. So that was something I wanted to notice in the future. For his post-test, he was still able to write sentences. They're complete sentences, and they look really good to me. And then for his questions, he had slight improvement because he did change it to writing a question mark at the end instead of just doing a period. But it's still a sentence just with a question mark at the end, so that was really interesting to see. But I did see minor improvements.
So in conclusion, student A definitely showed higher levels of confidence and participation towards the end of camp. Like we saw in those examples, she showed a little bit of improvement in her writing abilities, but not a lot. She was able to verbally answer questions, which shows she does want to learn and she does like to participate. But again, she's unable to put these thoughts into her writing.
For student B, he was also more comfortable communicating with his peers and participating in class, and he would raise his hand more, and even when it wasn't about academic content, which I thought was really great improvement. In his pre-assessment, he did not use question marks for his question portion, but he did them in the post-assessment, so there was some minor improvements in his writing abilities. And at the end of camp, he showed a better understanding of how to ask a question. So at the beginning of camp, he would say, "Does a red-eyed tree frog jump high?" But he would say it as if he was saying a sentence. But at the end, he learned how to adjust his tone so it sounded more like a question. And lastly, he showed comprehension by explaining how his art and how his dance related to the science content.
We thought the teachers did a really great job in this camp, but one improvement that we thought would be great would be just to try to include more ways to assess the children rather than just writing for that overall score, and to try to get a deeper understanding of their skills prior to the camp.